On April 14, 2026, the IMF released a report that most people missed. It wasn't just about slowing growth. It was a confirmation that the middle-class blueprint we've followed for 50 years has officially been decommissioned. While you were watching the headlines, the global debt clock hit $348 trillion, and for the first time in history, the interest on that debt is now higher than the GDP of the world's 5 largest economies combined. This is not a conspiracy. It is a mathematical certainty. For the last 30 days, I have lived inside the data. I have tracked the movement of capital from the traditional banking sector into invisible assets. I have watched Warren Buffett sit on a record $200 billion in cash, not because he's waiting for a sale, but because he's waiting for the system itself to reset. Most of you feel it. You earn more, yet your bank account feels lighter. You work harder, yet the goalposts for retirement keep moving farther away. Today, I am going to show you why. And more importantly, I am going to give you the exit strategy. I spent 30 days investigating the downfall of the middle class in real time. What I found was a wealth harvest. In 2026, we are no longer in a productive economy. We are in a debt servicing economy. When a government's interest payments exceed its defense budget, the only way to survive is to devalue the currency. Your savings account is currently a sponge, soaking up the debt of a failing system. Every day you leave your wealth in traditional, safe vehicles. You are paying a hidden tax that no politician will admit to. This is the first layer of the blueprint we must burn down. The M-shaped reality. The economy is no longer a bell curve. It is an M. The middle is being hollowed out. On one side, you have the automated class, people whose skills have been commoditized by AI. On the other, you have the sovereign class, those who own the intellectual property, the algorithms, and the hard assets. If you are listening to this, you are likely stuck in the hollow middle. You are too successful to get help, but not sovereign enough to be safe. By the end of this journey, that changes. The psychological traps. Mistake number 1, the liquidity illusion. You think having money in the bank makes you wealthy. It doesn't. In 2026, liquidity without a hedge is just slow-motion poverty. I have seen millionaires lose 15% of their purchasing power in a single year while playing it safe. Mistake number 2, career linearism. The idea that you can trade 40 hours for a paycheck is a 20th century relic. AI agents don't sleep, they don't need insurance, and they are currently being integrated into 70% of white-collar workflows. If your income is linear, your risk is exponential. The structural traps. Mistake 3, the normalcy subscription. Look at your bank statement. You are paying to maintain a version of normal that was designed to keep you broke. The house you don't need, the car that signals status to people you don't like, and the endless digital subscriptions that numb your ambition. Transition. We are halfway through the chains. We've talked about geography traps, staying in high tax zones because of comfort, and shadow inflation, the 15% price hike the government calls 3%. But the biggest mistake is mistake 7, emotional reactivity. Selling when the headlines scream crash and buying when the gurus scream moon. Hard assets versus paper promises. Now we move to the blueprint. Asset 1, intellectual property. In 2026, your voice is your most resilient asset. Why? Because an LLM can mimic your style, but it cannot mimic your perspective. This YouTube channel is not a hobby for me. It is my sovereign real estate. Asset 2, pricing power equities. Look at what Buffett is buying. He's not buying tech, he's buying necessity. Companies that can raise prices by 20% tomorrow, and the world still pays. That is how you defeat inflation. The off-grid wealth asset. 3, sovereign hard commodities. Physical gold is the only asset that doesn't have a counterparty. It isn't a promise from a bank. It is a weight in your hand. Asset 4, private credit. Banks are failing the small business owner. In 2026, the real yield is in lending directly to profitable, AI-integrated companies. You become the bank. The identity audit. We have reached the most important part of the documentary. You can have all the data, but if you have the consumer identity, you will still lose. You must audit who you are. Are you a maintainer of a lifestyle or an acquirer of freedom? Most people spend their 30s and 40s building a cage of obligations. They buy things they have to maintain with a job they have to keep. That is the definition of a trap. The 12-month roadmap. Month 1. Kill the normalcy subscriptions. Month 3. Establish your sovereign asset, the voice. Month 6. Move 20% of your liquidity into hard commodities. Month 12. Transition 50% of your income from linear to exponential. The final conversion. You are no longer the person who clicked on this video. You have the data. You have the blueprint. But the system is counting on you to do nothing. The 2026 Wealth Reset is a filter. On one side is the crowd, waiting for a savior. On the other side is the sovereign, who built their own lifeboat. I have 1,000 spots in our inner circle for those ready to build. Subscribe, hit the notification bell, and comment "Sovereign" below to let me know you finished the investigation. Your old life was a blueprint written by someone else. It's time to draw your own.